They destroyed my oak tree without asking, but they never expected my revenge to shut down the entire neighborhood. 4 months ago, I inherited my father's old house in Maplewood. It wasn't just a house, it was a legacy. Right in the front yard stood a giant oak tree, nearly 100 years old. My dad had planted it with his own hands. That tree was family history. But then came the HOA. They claimed the tree was an eyesore. They said its branches hung too low, its roots were dangerous, and it ruined the look of their perfect neighborhood. One morning, I woke up to the sound of chainsaws. I ran outside and froze. My oak tree, the heart of my yard, was gone. 3 HOA contractors stood there, laughing as the last piece of trunk hit the ground. Pause for a second. What would you do if the HOA cut down your tree? Comment below. I shouted, "You had no right. This is my property." But Margaret, the HOA president, smirked and said, "Read the rules. We decide what stays and what goes." That's when I realized they had no idea who they were dealing with. Because I wasn't just any homeowner, I was the county electrical engineer. I started digging. Late nights, poring over property lines, power layouts, and city codes. And what I found was golden: the HOA's entire clubhouse, their fancy pool, their security gates. All of it ran through power lines that crossed my property easement. In other words, I controlled their lifeline. So I made one phone call. Within an hour, the HOA clubhouse went dark. The pool pumps stopped, the security gates froze, and every light in their perfect community went out. Margaret stormed to my door, red-faced and furious. "You can't do this," she screamed. I calmly showed her the city-approved documents. "Actually, I can. You trespassed and destroyed private property. Until you pay damages and apologize in writing, the power stays off." For 3 long days, the lived in chaos. Residents were furious, not at me, but at Margaret. They demanded answers. The media got wind of it. News crews showed up, and suddenly the whole town knew what the HOA had done. Finally, backed into a corner, Margaret surrendered. The HOA paid for the damages, replaced the oak with 3 new trees, and signed a legal agreement never to touch my property again. As the lights flickered back on, I stood on my porch, smiling. Because they thought cutting down my tree would show their power. But instead, I showed them what real power looks like.